Welcome to the Bear Rumble Podcast, your home for everything BHP football. Each week, we dive into the greatest games, preview what's coming next, and share the stories that make Belton Honeypath Bears football special. From legendary coaches to unforgettable moments, this is where Bear Nation comes together. This is the Bear Rumble Podcast.
Hey there, Bear fans. Welcome to the Bear Rumble Podcast. I'm your host, Kayne Evans, and we have finally made it to the week we've all been waiting for, week 1 of the 2025 football season. The Bears are actually in action in a game that actually matters this Friday night as they head to Spartanburg County to face the Broome Centurions. We'll talk about that and preview that first matchup later in the podcast. But before we get there, I want to give you 4 audacious predictions I have for this upcoming season. So let's start off big. Let's go crystal ball and then some real football. So if you're with me, let's jump on in. Last year, we saw Marquez Henderson set a BHP career rushing record that personally I feel will never be surpassed at BHP. He ended his career with over 6,600 rushing yards and took the top spot in career rushing yards at BHP. From last year to this year, I think another offensive player will be able to set a career yardage record and even put that record out of reach where maybe no one will be able to surpass it in the future. So for my first prediction this year, Noah Thomas shatters the BHP all-time passing record and pushes his career total passing yards to a staggering 6,000 yards. So let's jump into this a little bit. 6,000 yards seems like a lot, especially for a player who maybe hasn't gotten the same recognition as Quez in the last couple of years and the accomplishments he's had. So in the 2023 year, Noah's sophomore season, he passed for 1,585 yards. Then he followed that up last year in his junior season with an 1,800-yard passing season. So combine that, he currently sits at 3,385 passing yards for a career. That still is a good long ways away from 6,000 yards. A daunting 2,615 yards away. And if you couple that with the current BHP single season passing record is set at 2,344 yards, he's not only going to set the career passing yards record, he will also have to set a single season passing yard record. But I didn't call these simple predictions or they're 100% slam dunk prediction. These are audacious, but I 100% stand behind them. So let's break it down and talk about how Noah can actually get to that 2,615 mark. So if we round up to 2,700, just for good measure, and then we talk about how many games I expect BHP to play this season. If you listened to our previous episode or read the 5 questions blog post, you can see that I have a pretty big expectation that this team will be playing the very last game of the season. So we're talking 15 games just as they did last year. So if we divide that 2,700 yards by the 15 games, now we're only looking at 180 yards per game. That 2,700 number, that 6,000 yard number looks a whole lot more reasonable when we talk about just 180 yards per game. Now, if we also talk about the players that he's going to be throwing to, he has the wideout talent, maybe the deepest that the Bears have had, at the very least the highest level of athleticism at that position that the Bears have had in maybe a decade. If we talk about Tajay Watson-Martin, his speed of being able to take to take the top off of defenses, along with his ability to take short screen passes, take it the distance. Then we also talk about Jalen Glenn, the wideout on the other side of the field. Those long strides, that tall basketball type of body will be a weapon for Noah to target this year. Then we also talk about Jakari Anderson being able to come in from that defensive side, but really put some finesse and power routes on the offensive side. Then we also talk about the players coming out of the backfield. MJ Earl is a great pass catcher. Noah has the top talent around him to be able to accomplish this goal. Although it is audacious, it's a big number, but I firmly believe that Noah will be able to accomplish 6,000 career passing yards and stamp his name at the top of this, plus most of the other significant BHP passing records at the end of this season. Now, if we jump to the other side of the ball, I have a prediction for that side as well. Kylan and Kamarion Glenn will establish themselves as the greatest defensive line duo in BHP history. There's no true records that I would expect these guys to surpass, although Kylan's already tied the single game tackle for loss record with 4. He's done it twice at BHP. But these two, I think, will go down as the most complete and the most disruptive duo that BHP's ever had on that defensive line. And that's saying a lot. At the very least, in the last decade, you've seen players like Austin Daniel, Justice Greer, Justin Latham at that that defensive line. But these two together are something special. Keelan Dixon and Kamarion Glenn, over the last 2 years, they've combined for 127 tackles, 26 tackles for loss, and 10 sacks. These guys don't just play the run. They don't just get up the field and rush the passer. They can do it all. And now here's, to go along with that prediction, this is how they're going to mark themselves as the greatest duo. I see them being able to get 80 combined total tackles, 40 combined tackle for losses, and 25 sacks between them. That's a huge number. But I think these two, because of so much talent around them, they'll be able to go against a lot of single blocks and will absolutely wreak havoc on those defenses statewide. Now, if we turn to another Bear player that plays on both sides of the ball, and that's where this prediction comes in. Tajay Watson-Martin reaches rarefied air as he surpasses 20 receiving touchdowns and 10 interceptions this year. Tajay, this prediction all comes down to the immense talent he has on both sides of the ball. His freshman year, he led the team in interceptions. He followed that up in his sophomore season, leading the team in pass receiving touchdowns. So all this is doing, cementing Tajay as the best two-way player that BHP will ever see. Just in that mold of Travis Hunter and Deion Sanders, Tajay is going to reach that milestone of that two-way player that makes a difference on offense and defense. And then lastly, this is maybe the biggest prediction of them all, at least when it comes to later in the season. I personally believe that BHP dominates every game and wins by at least 2 touchdowns each week. A lot of people have put BHP in the wait to see category. They've lost too much category. A lot of people maybe not believing in the talent that's returning. I personally believe there's no one that will be able to step on the field and slow down this offense. Along with that, in the previous episode, I talked so much about the defense. I personally believe in an era that offenses rule the day, this defense will be the one that truly makes this team a championship contender and creates this environment where this can come true, where BHP wins by 2 or more touchdowns each week. So with that, those are my 4 bold predictions. Noah writes his name in the BHP record book. Kylan and Kamarion Glenn go down as the greatest defensive line duo at BHP. Tajay Watson-Martin puts in a Travis Hunter type season, and BHP just stays dominant every single game. Do you believe these bold predictions? Do you have some bold predictions? We would love to hear that. But nevertheless, I am so excited to see how this team can even surprise me with the things that they're going to be able to put out on the field. So with that, let's jump over and look at a preview of the Week 1 matchup against Broome. Bear fans, we finally made it. It's that week we've been waiting for, that Week 1 opener as the Bears take on the Broome Centurions up in Spartanburg County. The Bears travel first year since 2022 that the Bears have started the season on the road, but it will be a great test to finally see the Bears back in action since the last time we saw them down in Orangeburg. So the Bears will be taking on the Broome Centurions. Broome didn't have a great year last year. They ended the season 3-8. Their wins coming against Chesney, Emerald, and Blacksburg. But even despite those losses or losing season, as it would be, they had 2 really bright spots, especially on offense. They had Taekwon Booker. He led the team in rushing. He had over 1,300 yards rushing for Broome. He actually had a good day against BHP last year when we played. He had 24 rushes for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Bears last season. So that returning talent will be really something to watch this Friday night against the Bears. Along with Booker, Broome will also be returning their quarterback. His name is Jameson Derryberry. He completed 174 passes last season for over 2,000 yards. Broome is one of those teams that love to use that modern spread offense where spread teams out to run, but then make you defend the full width of the field. A lot of screens, and then once you are playing too close on those screens, they like to go over the top and really like to hit a lot of those crossing patterns. One thing with that, they've actually moved Taekwon Booker, their leading rusher last year, out to wide receiver. You can see maybe a scheme change where they want to get more playmakers out on the edges. Taekwon Booker, he'll be as athletic as anybody that BHP will play this year. So Broome is going to use both that athleticism and that ability to have yards after the catch like a running back would, to get him out wide and get him maybe matched up one-on-one, which will be a great something great to watch in this matchup. See if Tajay Watson-Martin covers Taekwon Booker, or if they'll do a rolling coverage over to Booker's side. So with that, as I said, Booker is moving out to wide receiver. Broome will actually be doing the opposite move, moving Reese Wagerman from receiver back to running back. Reese is a very powerful running back, runs with a lot of heavy weight behind his pads. You can see he's a physical running back. But as physical as he is, the ability to make moves and get vertical north and south in his running game is something that's really showed out on some highlights and some film that I've seen for Broome. You'll also see him make a lot of catches out of the backfield. As I said, Broome likes to have a modern style spread offense where everybody's a target in the passing game, but they also have the run game out of those wide sets as well. So Wagerman will be one that BHP will have to keep their eye on, both in the physicality, but also his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Defensively for the Broome, that's where they could be doing the most rebuilding. They actually graduated 4 of their top 5 tacklers from last year. They only had 8 team sacks and 29 tackles for loss, both pretty low numbers, and then only had a couple interceptions on the season. So that side of the ball is definitely going to be retooled. So we can take that as a flip of a coin. So they could be completely new on that side of the field, even with the graduation of players, a new crop and a hungrier crop of players could be coming in on that side, ready to try to slow this Bear offense down. Even with that, with the retooling, they were able to hold the Bears to 300, just over 300 total yards last season in their matchup in Week 1. This came on one. The Bears had a kickoff return for a touchdown. They were up by 35 at halftime, or they were up 35-7 at halftime. So Bears kind of slowed it down in the second half. But even with that, slowing down that offense from last season was a certainly uh, admirable to this Broome squad. So on the BHP side, what do we expect? One, offensively, let's see what this new retooled offense looks like. We want to see all of those athletes be able to touch the ball. We want to see this stable of running backs. See how MJ Earl, what it looks like when he is the lead back. But also, I want to see some of those fresh legs come in and really have some pop plays for the Bears. See what we can do when we start leaning on them. That offensive line, especially that interior offensive line, is some of the best in the whole state. So we've got to see that. And then we want to see some of those wideouts. We want to see what Tajay Watson-Martin can do, Jalen Glenn, see if we can get that two-headed monster out on the wide parts of the field. Defensively, it all comes down to domination. You've heard me talk about this BHP defense and what the expectation there is. And I want to see how athletic those linebackers can be. Jakari Anderson, Ty DeBose, how they run side to side. KJ Miles, same thing, how he's making plays in space. And then I want to see up front that defensive line just cause havoc. Ty Rainey, um, Kamarion Glenn, Kylan Dixon, Quasi Bryant, those 4 really get after the passer and shut down that rushing game as well. So this Friday night could be really messy. I know there's hurricane off the coast, expecting some rain at least during the day Friday. So maybe slow down both offenses, but also can uh, make it a little harder to tackle. So on defense, we want to be able to get those players on the ground, cause turnovers. I know in a wet, messy game, you always want to focus on that as a defense, making tackles first, but causing turnovers. And then on offense, we want to be able to take care of the ball, but try to be as explosive as we can. So with that, season openers carry their own unique brand of unpredictability. And playing on the road really amplifies that uncertainty. But here's what I know for certain for this Bears team. Despite some of the maybe state reporters, online analysts questioning this Bears potential, this squad is going to have plenty to say this Friday night and deep, deep, deep into the state playoffs this year. So this first week represents just the first steps of what could be a remarkable journey back to the championship game this season. If you follow the Bear Tracks post, we'll have 15 quick stats. I'm going to give you 5 quick ones right here to get you ready for the game. First off, BHP is 2-1 all time against Broome. Their 2 wins came last season, and then in 2013, their lone loss was in a playoff game in 2022. They lost 15-29. And then in season openers, BHP is 40-19 all time, but under Coach Blackston, BHP is 14-1 in those opening games of the season. Then with that, BHP graduated 68% of their rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, and then 45% of their receiving yards from last season. Now, BHP has scored in 135 consecutive games. That is currently a school record, and it's counting. So we'll keep that total up. But currently, they have surpassed the old record and are currently at 135 consecutive games of scoring a point. And then lastly, last season, this is a big stat. I know Coach Blackston, Coach Jenkins, Coach Jennings all like to talk about that middle eight. But last season, BHP only allowed 2 offensive touchdowns in the third quarter of games and 2 passing touchdowns. They allowed no rushing touchdowns in the third quarter of games last season. It'll be great to see if BHP can keep that up as they start this 2025 season. So now, as we're at the precipice of another BHP football season, there's something poetic maybe about beginning the journey on the road. But sometimes, stories start with a little adversity, a touch of uncertainty, but a lot of hungry athletes just chomping at the bit to show both Bear fans and the state as a whole what they will be able to accomplish this year. So now Broome might be hunting for a breakout, a rebuild from last season, but I believe Friday night they're going to discover that this Bear squad has not only rebounded, but grown hungrier and grown more dangerous, just wanting a chance for redemption. And they're going to show that last year wasn't just a peak of BHP football, but the standard that everybody has to live up to. So with that, Bear fans, we want to see you there Friday night. We want to hear you loud. It may be wet, so bring the ponchos, bring the umbrellas, and make it a fun, wet night for the Bears. So with that, we'll hope to see you there. Bear fans, thanks for being with us again for the 4th episode of the Bear Rumble podcast. Make sure you subscribe and tell others about it. Also, follow us over on thembears.com where we have longer form previews and write-ups about the team. You can also find stats of the games and historical stats and records there. And then also on Friday night, we'll be live tweeting the game. So follow us on all of our social media platforms so you can keep up with the highlights, scores, and finals of the game every Friday night. And until next time, Bears, remember, how about them Bears?